Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week. If you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe and share with a friend. Today we are talking sacred geometry. I have Gregory Hoag with me. Welcome, Gregory.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Gregory, you design and create geometrical shapes for consciousness expansion. I'm curious about those beautiful structures that you have behind you. Can you tell us a little bit about each one of those?
There are three, and starting at the top, this is an expanded version of something that's been popularly known as Metatron's cube. And yet, even though we use the word cube, which is something three-dimensional, it's been shown for the last number of decades as a two-dimensional geometry. Two-dimensional geometries don't access energy in the same way that three-dimensional forms do, because they really exist as a thought form in our heads. If you think about a piece of paper that you look at, if you turn it sideways, it disappears. So this is a three-dimensional version of Metatron's cube that I have added an extra octahedron in the center and an extra one on the outside. So what this form is working with is grounding, connecting to purpose for being. It helps manifest that aspect of our journey. And the second one down is something we call a unity grid, and it is made up of 60 triangles where each triangle is equal to the face of the pyramid at Giza, the same geometry as the Giza pyramid, only now you have expanded it into a sphere. The number of degrees inside this form that works with creating a more unified sense of connection, it actually has the same number of degrees if you translate it into miles as the diameter of the moon plus the diameter of the sun. And of course, we throw a couple zeros off the sun's diameter to bring it into the same range. But that number gives us this geometry, same number of degrees. And then the one at the bottom, this is, we call the sphere of health. And we work with that spinning sometimes or under other forms spinning, meditating under it, and in different ways where it creates a relationship to the natural order of things. Again, if I were to take the number of degrees in this geometry, I've added them all up, it's 10,080 degrees. And if I were to take the diameter of the moon, which is 2,160 miles, and the diameter of the earth, 7,920, together it equals this geometry. So you see, the earth and the moon dance in a particular way. And so do every different aspect of creation in this universe. They all relate together in particular harmonics. So working with the harmonic of the moon and the sun together creates a geometry that when we relate to it, when we have it in our environment, it starts to pull in energy like an antenna. And that antenna is rebroadcasting this Earth-Moon dance that starts to bring us into a rhythm that's much more natural. Because there are so many things in our environment today that have taken us off our rhythm, like the cell phones, the computers, the things going on with toxins in the environment, our belief systems, our judgments, all the things going on with the stress in our environment, the stress in our bodies, and especially our fears. They totally block us off from source, from who we truly are.
Gregory, are you actually saying that these structures can help us to stay more balanced and centered, help us to release negative thought forms or beliefs, and protect us from the toxins in our environment?
Absolutely. You see, what happens is all these things I've named, let's step back a moment to realize we are multidimensional beings. And that means, like an iceberg, where you only see 10% sticking above the water, there's only about 10% of us here in this physical dimension. The majority of us exists on higher dimensional realities, like our emotional body. People can see sometimes the aura around us, and it's filled with colors, and those colors are a reflection of what's going on with our emotions. So you see, they exist on another dimensional level that most people can't see. And so all these things I mentioned, the stress, the fear, and the toxins, they disconnect us from source, from soul, from who we truly are. And that's where we get everything. That's where we get life. Without our connection to soul, we don't exist. We aren't alive. And all of these different elements are disconnecting us, are blocking that connection. So what I'm saying with these, with the pendant that I'm wearing, we've got antenna systems in here in this pendant that allow us to connect all the time, regardless of these other things. We still go through it for a while. You know, it's like a habit, getting caught up in the fear. And then if your body doesn't keep reacting in the same way, you start falling into a more natural rhythm. It's kind of like being by a stream in the sunshine, under a tree, with the birds singing. You know, everything is a natural order of the way universe has created it. The tree, the stream, the water, the wind. And when we're in that environment, we're in something natural that starts reflecting something natural back to us. So we can almost feel more human, more who we truly are in that kind of an environment. And even science has been saying it's really necessary to get into nature because it's very healing. So by bringing these geometries in, and we have in our new book talking about all the aspects of the way nature does it, universe does it. There are patterns, rhythms, and cycles that exist everywhere throughout creation. We know it, and we know it intuitively when we're around things that are natural. And yet, when we are not in that environment, then bringing some of these archetypes, and by an archetype, I mean the essential geometry that is there behind creation. And we can find that all these different things show up again and again in the way atoms are created, the patterns they always form and the way they connect to make molecules, the way universes are created, the way galaxies work, and the way they relate to each other. All of these patterns are again and again repeated throughout creation.
Fascinating, Gregory. Thank you so much for sharing those three structures with us. And thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this conversation, I invite you to tune in to the extended interview with Gregory, where we take a deeper dive into sacred geometry, to its mysteries, wisdom, and how it connects us to the greater universe. That's it for this week. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.